And we will now transition to the New Jersey presentation. Sal Callan, Amy Lopez, and Mark Nichols. I'll hand it over to you, Sal, to take it away.
Thank you, James. Can you hear me?
Yep.
And the microphone worked. Accomplished another feat of technology. It's great. So James, thank you and the folks at FHWA for allowing us the time to be able to talk about the efforts that we've been putting forth here in New Jersey. Also a big thank you to Adam and the team at NOCO. Always great to share the experiences that we're having amongst our partners and our friends in the industry. Looking through the list of attendees, I see a lot of people who we've interacted with, and it's great to see everybody. We've been working with our partners at INRIX and Drivewyze on this platform, and we're very pleased. I was on an AASHTO CTSO working group discussion the other day, and the sobering statistics that were released earlier this week from NHTSA about the 2021 traffic fatalities, 42,915 is an incredibly sobering number. One is too many, I think we can all agree, but the number's going up 10.5% from 2021, and within that, a 13% increase involving large trucks. So these are the kinds of things that we think about, and these are the kinds of day-to-day activities that we should be talking about. How can we make improvements? The folks in Colorado, it sounds like a very interesting program, and the more information we can get into the hands of these drivers to be able to make more informed decisions in advance of a problem, that's the key. The 3 meters away from a crash, what can you do? You're there. You're already in that. You're already a part of a problem. But the further away that we can provide these notifications to stop traffic, to incidents on the roadway, to changing conditions, the better. What the team and I, Amy Lopez from INRIX, Mark Nichols from Drivewyze, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the program that we've put together over the course of the last year to really try to help improve road safety by communicating with truck drivers in real time. Our partners, Drivewyze is a new partner of ours. We've been working with them in advance of the launch and leading up to it and through it, and we have regular conversations with them and their technical team. And we have been a partner of INRIX for some time. We are a member of the Eastern Transportation Coalition and the Data Marketplace, and both INRIX and Drivewyze have been very valuable to communicating about these types of programs and helping us to learn exactly what we can do to be able to provide the real-time information to the industry where, whatever it takes. I made a joke the other day, and, I sometimes ramble off topic, so I apologize, but those of you that know me know, sometimes I loop around to a point. I'm a big Marvel fan. I'm a big comic book fan, and so I watched the Marvel movies, and I saw Avengers Endgame, and, it's on repeat in my house because that's just the kind of person I am. But when Captain America and Tony Stark were standing there and they were going to go back in time, and they said, we're going to go back, whatever it takes. And that's what I tell my staff. And that's what I tell people here at New Jersey DOT. We are going to do whatever it takes to save any person on our roads, whether it's getting them off the highway by changing their tire or removing a piece of debris or clearing a crash sooner so that there's no backup and we can avoid secondary crashes, sending information out via services like this or traditional ITS. Whatever it takes, that's what we're going to do, because we really want to make a dent. We really want to watch those numbers that were released earlier this week, turn the opposite way and reduce those fatality numbers. That's what we can do in these kinds of products. I'm going to pass this along to Amy Lopez, our partner from INRIX, to provide a little bit more of information about the data that INRIX provides. Amy? Amy?
Collaborative solution, Drivewyze. Can you hear me?
I can now. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so So INRIX, we've been working with New Jersey DOT for I think it's almost 10 years now. New Jersey was one of the first states to use our data, our real-time data statewide, and we've had a long relationship with Drivewyze as well, and a partnership to collaborate with the goal of saving lives on the highways across the country. So our role in the partnership and working with Drivewyze and in providing services to New Jersey is that we provide real-time data in New Jersey, and our real-time data detects and warns drivers of changes ahead. This includes congestion, queues that are forming, or dangerous slowdowns and road closures. We don't typically refer to, with the Drivewyze solution, our internal name is dangerous slowdowns, but with the Drivewyze solution, we're very careful about using the word dangerous. We frame it as a sudden slowdown so that, and Mark can talk more about this as it's coming into the ELD in the truck, we want to make sure that we are providing terminology that, that garners the appropriate reaction. So again, we're providing our real-time APIs to Drivewyze, and they're then using that in a geofenced area that Mark will get into in more detail in a second. So next slide, Sal. Okay, so essentially there are two types of alerts that we refer to internally as incidents that are curated and incidents that are calculated. The curated incidents are from multiple sources such as DOTs, Twitter feed, Waze, police scanners, and other sources that are managed by our incident team that works 24/7, 365 days a year. The calculated incidents, such as dangerous slowdowns or sudden slowdowns, are a type of incident that is mathematically calculated by INRIX and compares our real-time speed with free-flow speed in order to allow for an understanding of abnormal conditions. So for example, with a dangerous slowdown, when we calculate the speed from one segment to the next upstream, we determine if there's a greater than 25 mile per hour change in speed or delta in speed, suggesting a sudden slowdown ahead where drivers need to take actions to avoid rear-end collision. So again, each incident includes segment location, a roadway description, a journalistic description, start and end points, detour points, and average speeds along that congested segment with a congestion alert. So again, all of this is provided to Drivewyze so that they can take this information, create an alert that goes into the ELD to warn truck drivers of sudden changes ahead. Next slide, and as we switch to the next slide, I'll turn this over to my colleague from Drivewyze, Mark Nichols.
Thank you, Amy. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone today. And just a little bit of background about Drivewyze. We're North America's largest connected truck network with a reach of about 2.8 million trucks. And now, not all those 2.8 million trucks are paying customers, but they can download the Drivewyze app to a compatible GPS device and receive the alerts. This is done through the Drivewyze app and resides in the electronic logging device inside the truck. And for those of you that are not familiar with the ELD, as it's referred to, it's basically the nucleus in the communication center for that driver. Everything they have on there, their hours of service, origin, destination, manifest, navigation, pre-clearance. And the reason ours is embedded in the ELD is because ours stays on all the time in the truck. And that's very important to know. It's just not an app sitting there going on and off. It's actually running from the time they cut it on. It's sitting there in that electronic logging device in idle mode, basically. So it'll let the driver know of anything that they're doing. All the driver's information is kept there, and we actually even have a patent device on
Mark, you
our
cut
coach.
out.
Can you still hear me? Hello?
I can hear you again now, yes.
Okay. We actually have a device that will allow the driver and to be basically coached by their safety director, and they can actually see the results of some of the geofences that we set for the driver. So that's a little bit about it in the background, and you can understand the importance to the electronic logging device. Again, we had that reach 2.8 million trucks out there on the roads that have the access to download this app, and we're able to provide all kind of information like you see above: congestion ahead, proceed with caution, sudden slowdowns. This is important because we all know when you're driving a commercial motor vehicle, it's a lot different than what you see every day. So with that, Amy, I think we'll go to the next slide, and I think it goes back to you.
Okay, so the process for working with Drivewyze and INRIX is that we provide our real-time data, our real-time APIs to Drivewyze. They geolocate that active event based on the information in that API, and they send a single notification to drivers as they approach the event in the direction of travel. The beauty of this is that Sal and his team can also generate messages that are short and specific to weather-related restrictions, weight-related detours, or other events that may be happening. Sal is going to, in a minute, we're going to go through a use case that happened related to a winter storm this year. But we've also there's also other types of emergencies that this can be used for, such as bridge outages or other types of incidents that were unable to be predicted ahead of time, other than work zones and such. So again, this provides the alert into the ELD, and then another part of the feature of the service is that Sal and his team can log onto the Drivewyze business intelligence platform and know exactly how many alerts were sent out, how many vehicles were alerted, and see a record of all the messages on a monthly basis, daily basis, and based on corridors. Next slide. Sal, I don't know if you want to cover this as your truck alert dashboard.
Absolutely. So, like Amy was talking about, when we were talking about the setup for the program, we said, look, this is our first foray into this specific type of platform, and Drivewyze to the department was a new product service that we wanted to see. So what we wanted was, I'll put it bluntly, we wanted proof. We wanted to see how it was working. We wanted to see where it was working, which roadways that we had selected were getting the most number of alerts. What were they? What kind of alerts were they? Were they the slowdown alerts? So what we do is we work through Tableau, pretty easy to use, and so we put together and worked with Drivewyze for this traffic alert dashboard, which gives us a very filterable type of platform. We can see where these alerts are taking place. We can see which corridors, times of day, months, which ones are really kind of hitting the notes. It's no shock that the New Jersey Turnpike, who is one of our partners in this, I'll be remiss if I didn't mention the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, the South Jersey Transportation Authority, and the New Jersey Department of Transportation were put together in terms of our roadway coverage. So it covers New Jersey DOT's interstates, but we're kind of a small state. So my Interstate 76 eventually connects to a freeway section of New Jersey 42, which eventually connects to the Atlantic City Expressway. So our roadways are very interconnected. You can drive across our state or up and down through our state in less than 3 hours. So we wanted to see the product. We wanted to see what was being sent out. And this really did help us get a better understanding of that. We started getting more of the details, the Latin long. Where were they? How long were the alerts? How long did they go off for? Was it congestion, the kind of recurring congestion you might see? Or was it one of those sudden slowdowns like Amy was mentioning, that delta that all of a sudden, something unusual has happened, and it is such a wide delta that the system is recognizing this as oh, whoa, we better tell people about it. And so with the INRIX data as the basis and the notification system through Drivewyze, we've been very pleased with it. So we're talking about, which agencies are a part of it. We all operate underneath the Commissioner for DOT, Diane Gutierrez-Gichetti. She is the Commissioner for DOT, but she is also the chairperson for the New Jersey Turnpike Authority as well as the South Jersey Transportation Authority. So we put together a listing among all three agencies for about 647 miles. We wanted to cover the New Jersey Turnpike Authority end to end. They have various pieces of roadway, some that connect to Pennsylvania, some that connect in towards tunnels and tolls and bridges. New Jersey, our interstate system is kind of simple. A couple of roadways back and forth, straight across the state, up and down. And so we also partnered with our friends down in South Jersey for the Atlantic City Expressway and their connections down in Brigantine, closer to Atlantic City. But this was the real interesting piece, right? So we're in the Northeast. We get a lot of snow. Probably not as much as our friends that are further north and further east of us. God bless you people in Portland. I don't think I could live there. But, there are times when we can get 5 to 8 to 12 to 16 to 20 inches of snow. The Winter Storm Keenan was expected to be a very dangerous snowstorm. And as you can see, for those of you familiar with the Northeast, that storm pretty much travels along the route of 95. And so what we were looking at was a significant impact to regional travel. Not just New Jersey. New Jersey, like I said, you can crisscross us in 2 hours, 3 hours. But just because you can get through our state in 2 hours, it doesn't mean that we can't be considering the travel of the people who are heading north of us into New York, into Connecticut, into Massachusetts and Maine, or south of us, or west of us in Pennsylvania and Delaware and Maryland and Virginia, because we're all sharing the same customer base. That engine that is I-95 that supports not only commerce but commuting is incredibly important. So what we did was we wound up having a conversation. And Amy, do you want to tell them about the conversation we had as I was driving into the statewide traffic management center that night?
Yeah. So Dale called me around 3 o'clock on a Friday and said, hey, and I live in upstate New York, so I was well aware of the weather forecast. And he asked me, hey, have you heard about the storm that's supposed to hit? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, I want to quickly ask you, can we send out weather alerts via Drivewyze? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. He goes, okay, here's the real question. I know that not every state in the Northeast is a subscriber to Drivewyze. Can you guys send out alerts to everybody anyway, even if they're not paying for it? So I said, well, let me call Mark, and Mark and I will chat real quick, but I'm pretty confident he's going to say yes, because Mark is a former state trooper, and Mark is all about saving lives, and he's all about, improving safety. So I hung up with Sal, called Mark, and got right back to Sal and said, we're in. Let's do this. So we coordinated with Denise Markow, who is the TSMO lead at the Eastern Transportation Coalition. She contacted all of the state DOTs in the Northeast that were going to be impacted by the storm. We let them know that we're going to send out a simple message to all northbound traveling trucks at the ports of entry as they enter into each state to let them know to check 511 and make sure and be aware of road closures. So within about an hour and a half, 2 hours of sales requests, Mark rallied his team, and we were able to alert every state in the Northeast. If we go to the next slide, we have a quick map. So this shows you over that 30-hour period that alert was active for that whole winter storm, we notified 11 states. 10 of them are not current subscribers to the Drivewyze alert, and this prevented about 4,800 trucks from being on the road during that time frame. And just in New York State alone, there were 339 alerts, but you can see in Pennsylvania there were about 900, and And there were some significant folks still on the road, even though this winter storm was bearing down. So Mark, I don't know if you have any other color to add to the story.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Amy. You know, when I talked with Sal, when we talked with Amy, we knew we had a significant storm coming. What can we do immediately to affect these highway systems to keep the trucks off the roads? Because we all know 80,000 pounds, 70 feet long from bow to stern, you get out there at a 55 mile an hour on any good driving condition, it's going to take the length of a football field to stop that truck. You know, increase it with the weather conditions such as ice and snow. Now you're looking at situations that jeopardize the whole highway system. Trucks seem to jackknife into snow and ice. They just don't have the traction, and the tractor spins around on the trailer, and that causes even more blockage on our highways. So what do we do about it? How can we do that? The best thing to do is keep the trucks off the road or let them park in a safe haven. So what we were able to do, just like Amy said, we were able to create a simple message to the drivers through the ELD, again, important message through the ELD that they're going to look at, saying major winter storm, call 511 for closures. We tried to keep it simple. We unified that message across all these states, and even the states coming from Pennsylvania east, we knew they were going to be facing that storm. So we were able to put messages up in good locations at these state locations, state borders and interstate interchanges. And like Amy said, what was amazing to us, 4,800 trucks still got that message. And that many trucks were still on the highway traveling during this storm, which was pretty alarming to us because most drivers will take safe haven when they hear of a snowstorm or ice storm ahead. But we were able to reach that many drivers, and we feel like we had an impact on them. And even if they called, even if one truck called, it could have prevented a collision with either a fatality, injury, or, you know, creating a bottleneck on the highway system. And that prevents most of the times it'll prevent EMS, fire trucks from being able to get to injured, which is a life-saving event right there. So we felt very confident that what we did was good. And I think this, you know, the slide that demonstrates very simply what we can do in a very simple and fast mode. We created this. We were able to get it up and running, as Amy said, and we were able to get messages to trucks. We did a similar thing down when the bridge went out at the Tennessee-Arkansas bridge, as you're familiar with. That bridge went out due to cracks in the infrastructure, and we were able to notify thousands of drivers in advance at state lines about the bridge closures. And the DOT in Tennessee and Arkansas was very thankful, along with the trucking associations, that were able to prevent more trucks from clogging up the arteries there around the bridges and prevent the DOT from being able to do their jobs. And again, it just doesn't stop there. If you think about it, whatever happens in that situation, you're preventing EMS and first responders to be able to respond to individuals that are calling for help. So this goes back to a major incident clearance for us, that we can provide information in real time to drivers through that ELD, which is important. We had the same situation with Louisiana and Texas at a bridge down there. We were able to give those information out. But it's very critical to us to be able to get to the driver, provide them with potential information that will keep the roads clear and hopefully keep the driver from being involved in a collision, and be able to keep passenger vehicles around them clear.
Yes.
Back to you, Sal.
Mark, thank you. It's been a great project. Just to wrap everything up, the collaboration was great. The real-time, oh crap, can we do this? And the flexibility of our partners to be able to do it. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Sue Catlett, our project manager from New Jersey DOT, and Ridwan Ahmed, our senior engineer here at the department, who have worked through a lot of the finer details, as well as our partners at the Turnpike, both Turnpike and SJTA, FHWA, who has supported us throughout our crowdsourced efforts, as well as in each one of the EDC rounds. And with that, I believe I'm going to turn that back over to James at FHWA.